Welcome back and Merry Christmas to all of the lovely IHP community and the 5D Collective and those who are ready for Empowered Feminine Reveal. It's kind of like the party, those reveal parties. So it takes some of us a long time. No, it took me knowledge, the smart scientists, the somatic therapists, the neuroscientists, mental health professionals, every single one that I've learned from and continue to learn from to be able to be here and let you all in on a fun fact. So I'm an empowered feminine because I do not have any shame, not even 1 year of shame. Determined, come on in, Robert Sapolsky. So as he points out, and I haven't read the book yet, no free will. God told me we do have free will, and in all cases, I actively know how to explain to you why heaven in the body is awesome. And also, let me first of all honor our lovely Jesus, as he's the one who taught me and those of us who are Christian, some of Catholic descent, some of not. We all know, as 5D mystics do, that we're not welcome, but we don't do what 4D does, which is, insult any of people. We just make sure you understand the men and women and those in cloaks who think Reiki is bad. Oh, yoga brings demons out of you. What else? That demons still exist. They remain ignorant of neurosciences and mental health and all that. So when you hear them say everyone needs something to believe in, you just know you leave it alone. When they spread rumors about yoga bringing demons, you just leave it alone because you got a person who's unaware of Patrick McNamara, of our human evolution with decentralization of the self, and how every body is returning home to its actual restorative embodiment. Really, the body is smarter than any human being. Left mode brain. So those who resist it, though, they have 3D, 4D, 7 to 14 charming. They're not charming to us, but they're the Peter Pan leaders that are going to keep the masses busy, because the masses are the ones who say, I don't want to go to therapy. I don't want to be nice. And they don't understand it's not about being nice. But it's okay. They also say, I want to be compassionate. And you say, it's okay, you don't have to be. But so what I like to share before we get into it, Patrick Tiahan, he's great for anybody who still has envy, jealousy, spite, and actively will do something along the lines of this. Where are you, Patrick? He's so awesome. I love him. And I love a lot of people, though. Remember, I'm a solo polyamory woman. Solo. Not by myself. No, I'm just not couple-centric. I also do relationship anarchy. Non-hierarchical means you get no number, you get no title, means that you have the freedom to be all that you want to be, and lo and behold, empowered feminine right here. You know what we don't do is capture any masculine or feminine for that matter and take away their free will. That's really what God told me not to do. And while Robert Sapolsky informs me you have none, I actually say, you know what? I did learn that about teenagers. And now that I know that they're grown-up teenagers, I still know the same thing, which is I have an ego and so do you. Mine rules me. What about yours? It rules you too. Mine has two sides of the brain that work and that also work with the body. Does yours do the same? Because I know every distorted feminine right now is thinking that being all by myself makes her empowered. And I'm like, no, it just makes you like the fancy man and woman in suit that I make fun of. But that's okay because, again, God is benevolent. He gives all his children a place in the kingdom. So the kingdom of your body is where heaven will be felt. Otherwise, you'll be in the excruciatingly suffering like the avoidant who got on screen and informed us she's going to stay that way because people are fucked up. She doesn't want to do mindfulness meditation, yoga, any therapy because they're saying you're doing a good job. So she thinks she doesn't need any more guidance. While she does, because she's completely continuing her unhealthy self-soothing mechanism, and that means her non-regulated nervous system, like the fancy woman in suit who continues to spread rumors about how to be empowered, like wedding bells and fucking, that doesn't work. But also, we're not the Flintstones. Yeah, so people who regularly tune in know the stories. If you don't, it's okay. Just wait for me to continue with our conversation. I am also an entertainer on purpose. Now, am I a good one? It depends on you, but I'm sure for the 5D collective, we're having a good time. So that's cool. Jesus, thank you, Sadhguru. He said, the kingdom of God is within you. And somatic therapists have informed me that heaven is within you when you have a securely attached body. So your body and your heart are your friend because you don't get structurally dissociated with your child parts coming up because you own the ego, you own the self, because you own the left mode. Look, you own the chit chatter and you don't do inner critic, outer critic. So you don't do shame cycle stuff. Yeah, okay, so there's that. But then we got, again, the avoidance says, oh, people are fucked up. So I'm going to stay suffering inside, which is why a feminine will not be going near any meaning we'll go near everyone. We just won't actively think of any emotionally unavailable, unhealthy, self-soothing human being like that as anything more than just a secure connection. They are not in the life partnership game because they don't know how to bring to me a smile, and they don't know how to take care of themselves, and they don't care to because they don't want to learn how to self-regulate in their ventral vagal state. And it's not a super gift. Nope. All therapists have shown all you need is love. All you need is your will to go to therapy, heal, and get all healed. And Patrick Tiahan's still working on his healing. Let me get to him too. So, Sadhguru first, Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you. Yoga is a method to experience the within. Wishing you a joyful Christmas. So, yoga actively is a ventral vagal portfolio of toning exercises. Thank you, Stephen Porges. When shit comes up, that is indicative of you needing Pat Ogden, EMDR, child parts work, somatic sensory motor. Although Pat Ogden, I know she does sensory motor and she's awesome. So she's helped people to get a relationship with this. I love Pat. Then we have Peter Levine, who created somatic experiencing. And I got a course with him and Diane Heller, who work with trauma from childhood as well as styles, attachment. I prefer the categories because the styles, a bunch of grown-ups telling you that secure attachment is boring. I'm like, what? You're a coach for what? You apparently want to stay non-securely attached like the other woman who doesn't want to do mindfulness. So you know what? Go and hang out with your pretend Peter Pan's lost boys, teenagers. They like to pretend. And then here they still have self-loathing, gut wrench, and this longing because they haven't achieved wholeness. Because you won't be whole if your 0-1-year-old is left unattended by you, which is what a bunch of people do when they believe yoga brings demons out of you. Mindfulness is meaning you're going to become a Buddhist. No. But also when they just believe any ignorant human being who is basically not caring about your inner well-being and says neuroscience, that's poppycock. Well, not really, but okay, I'm going to leave it alone. I found it hard to believe that my first 2 years of life mean, yeah, they mean a lot and actually everything. So you get a hold of your 0-3-year-old with Patrick Tiahan, and then you'll be ready to have fun with us. Otherwise, you're going to say secure attachment is boring. And the women and men and days that do that, they go and choke each other around. They go and do suffering. And they are not changing their mind. I'm just going to let you in on a fun. That's why there's that free will or there's no free will whatsoever. And the empowered feminines, and I'm going to go near that and say, you have to become healthy self-worth. Otherwise, no. Those are martyr superiors, and really, they're not the empowered ones. They're just pretending, because the fact that you point a finger, you didn't get taught bad manners. Pointing, you don't point, and that's also part of shame, by the way. So any low self-esteem, distorted feminine is going to be a masculine, and we're going to stay away from those. When we meet empowered masculines, it's going to be an empowered feminine, because they're going to be a whole person. They have a whole self, and then they know how not to be pretend. Okay, so Patrick Tiahan, 1 second, because that is a very important one. That's why I mentioned him. A sign that your inner child is needing of reparenting. I'm going to say your. He says our. I'm not in here because I didn't need to be reparented. My mother taught me self-respect from when I was a kid, and she actually informed me that I took it really, really well. And I was a differentiated self at the age of 3, and I kept that. That's why I'm still a child. So you coming near me in any type of way, shape, or form that is going to be physically threatening, I will not be there. Anything else, I'm all in, because I don't notice insecure people because they're not a threat. They're a 3-year-old with a broken heart and a 1-year-old that doesn't know to self-regulate, and a 16-year-old that I've dealt with a bunch of them when I was an adolescent, from the ages of 11 to pretty much 20. And that's when I told God, I said, hey, I don't see Lucifer, but I know what to do if I ever spot him. And in the meantime, the people in cloaks, they're really mean, and I'm not following them. I'm following you and Jesus. And Jesus taught me to forgive. And you taught me not to play God and to be humble. And I know what it feels like to be humble. And integrity, yes, I will not treat you like a piece of shit while you are with your sharp little tongue and basically any spite, envy, jealousy. That's why as a grown-up, I don't notice it. Whether it's a woman or a man, it doesn't mean anything when I meet a small ego, except for one thing. Excuse me, you're confusing science with spirituality. No, I'm bringing them together. No, because I'm a mystic. Okay, hold on. Wait a minute. So this is what I do on my podcast. This is an actual conversation. I'm having a good time. He's a nice person. Actually, I was flattered because he recognized my voice. So I'm doing this. He's like, no, see? And then I get to see the tattoos of Buddhism and quantum physics, as I know both as well. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm curious. I don't get offended because I'm not proving my thoughts. I just told you my thoughts. You just told me how you think. And I'm like now curious because I don't know what you're thinking. But I do think we're on the same page. And that's what I did find out. So back to Patrick Tiahan. A sign that your inner child is in need of reparenting. When you find yourself in relationships that you have no business being in. Yeah, you know how many people are with Stromboli's? Well, you better bet. Oh, empowered feminine spotted like a hawk. And that's why when that woman is on screen saying, okay, women, with a bunch of women, gather around. And they're all gathered around, by the way. And I'm thinking, why would you be gathered around? Once I heard the answer, but then again, I'm again an empowered feminine, not one of the distorted ones. And that's why I'm not a masculine. I'm totally, I look forward to all the empowered feminines that are empowered masculines again, because that's the only masculine that I will be if ever around. And you know what? It's really challenging because the masculines of mine are men, and since they do the toxic shit with emotions, yeah. So it's not interesting though. It's not toxic in a way of let me go insult you. No, it's I'm not decent enough to be saluted, and or you know you want it, give it to him, and it's like yeah, okay, you're all hilarious. But at the same time, I make sure to have my men friends, the ones who will physically protect me so that I don't have to worry about any of that other stuff. And as long as the laws are still, we know we're still working on it. Okay, back to Patrick. So he says, for many of us, because he's a childhood trauma survivor, he's a therapist. I always say healed and healing. He says, childhood trauma was wrapped up in trying to be seen, trying to change someone to make them happy, or trying to become tolerant to intolerable people. I have none of this at all. I don't change my mom or my twin. Don't have to make them happy, as she informed me. It's not my job. I'm a kid, go out and have fun. And tolerant, intolerable, we all have Sid, Manny, Diego, meaning we all have imperfections. Anyone know about how it works to have a good time with people? My family, my paternal and maternal actually, but I got to be with Neapolitans, so we just yell anytime we're around each other. I love it. It's a beautiful dynamic, not in our sympathetic, no, in our ventral vagal, because it's part of the culture. It's also why you cannot convince culture. So this is a funny thing. I am not a jealous woman because I'm empowered. So my teenage boyfriend, he got into this habit of cheating, and we would talk and clear it up and talk and clear it up. By the fourth time, finally he made up his mind, and I knew exactly what was going on. Now, while other people, they thought a bunch of things, which, you know, person who's empowered doesn't give a shit actively. I don't even give a shit about what my entire human herd. I mean, I give a shit, meaning here, of course, but I'm going to stand as Maria, which means I don't change Maria because you don't like how I think or feel. Like, excuse me, are you confused? No, I'm not confusing shit. You just don't want to hear how I have something to express, which is okay, as my lovely mother let me express as a 3-year-old. So she didn't realize that my body was made for Maria and for the life that I came here to be. And that's actually from Sadhguru. So our body, emotions, and thoughts, they're here for the life. So we're all a part of pure consciousness. But obviously you won't know your pure consciousness little ding because it's a sound. You'll know it here, though. I know mine. Okay, so back to Patrick. In childhood, he says, no, in adulthood, you are therefore going to eventually become conscious of this childhood trauma conditioning. But until you do, you're going to replicate it. Yes, that's very real. As he says, you marry your unfinished business or you just keep doing it. So the way you were held, you hold others, and the way you don't see yourself. So I love myself first, which is why I don't hold anybody in a way of being unkind or spiteful. I actively like to have direct conversation. But what empowered women know, and men, and anyone who has low self-esteem doesn't know how to. So what is it, Patrick? So they're going to continue to find themselves in relationships that either don't work or that are in a place where nothing is aligning with, the true selves. Because as long as you're a pause self, that's also another thing. They definitely don't know who. They're all Elsa or Peter Pans. Okay, so people who have hell in their body, the longing that they're looking for, that's the unhealthy self-worth soothing mechanisms that the avoidant is going to keep doing. Yes, they can heal it. But if you hear attachment coaches saying secure attachment is boring versus you're going to have time to fall back on your patterns and then have somebody keep you aligned because you want to actually heal them. Dr. Daniel Fox, come on in. So as he points out, people with personality disorders, they're all healable, but some of them give up the therapy and doing the work because they fall back and then they don't have healthy self-worth people around them. to say, hey, your nasty attitude came back. No, not that way. That doesn't work. If they're actually healing, it's hey, remember your therapist, us, we're working on this stuff. So you seem to be struggling, and really what it is the person takes care of themselves. They're going to say, hey, today I'm struggling, so I actively, it's kind of like AA, right? So they become familiar, and Alcoholics Anonymous or the Drug Anonymous ones. So that's really great when you have people who stick to the program, and with a good therapist and with the healthy self-worth people, which are all people who honor our empowered feminine. So, see, here's the funny thing about being a teenager and saying no to drugs. I said no to drugs, and I'm not even going to share why, because the fact is, I found out later on that the same people that I thought were supposed to be in favor of doing good were not. And I was like, cocaine, that's really bad for you. I mean, I know I smoke cigarettes, but wow, that's going to put holes in your head and your nose, and then a lot more. And no, I don't want it around me at all. In fact, don't you dare bring that shit near me, because it's also illegal and you could get me in trouble. And then I find out again as I get older that it doesn't matter. These facades, all these human beings who just use their mouths, they have holes inside their heart, and that's because they don't go to therapy. Like that fancy man and woman in suit, they have millions who follow them. They're not a representation of healthy anything. Same thing goes with the men who are telling women, oh, by yourself. By yourself what? You don't do shit by yourself, because you're not healing anything within you if you have any of that void. And I know plenty of women and men who, wedding bells, they actively fuck each other, hoping to get and find the one. Where are you, Patrick? So let's see some examples of what he shares. Continuously chasing someone who is telling you indirectly that you are not a priority to them. Yeah, we don't chase people, healthy, self-worth, empowered women. We understand, and we'll be like, okay, you know what? I have clearly noticed your pattern. To some others, we won't say anything. It'll be, I don't know who you're talking to, but that ain't gonna fly here. So please keep yourself to whoever you want to hang out with. I ain't it. So crossing boundaries with someone to become more special to them. Not at all. Teenager again. I don't do let me become what you want. It's you are not going to be a lover of mine if you don't want me to thrive as a healthy human being, which means balance in eating, balance in drinking, balance in everything, and no drugs. No drugs at all. I mean, you don't have to be a big smart human being to understand how that works, because I got taught about it. And you know what's funny is when you're grown up and people make fun of you for not doing drugs, and they keep trying to have you do and try it, and you're like, okay, I get it, you enjoy it, but the fact is, in my brain I'm thinking, you don't love me, because you making fun of me for leading a healthy lifestyle means you don't want my best interest. This is a child again being taught what love is by a mother who cares about my health. So you can bring in determined, because I can pinpoint to you every time I've been told something that's for my well-being, and that to this day I carry as a child who's a grown-up, because I'm emotionally mature. And I don't feel ashamed. And the last time somebody teased me about drugs, as they're doing this, they're saying, if you come visit me, you're going to have to. And I'm like, yep, I'm not going there. Oh, I didn't speak it, because what you learn about egos and teenagers is that the minute you say, no, I'm not doing it, and you tell them the truth, then they start arguing with you about why you should do it and stuff like that. So you just leave it alone. Like with men, women come to me and say, I told him I won't give you 100%, I'll give you 80. And I'm like, you didn't have to mention that. You just kept to yourself, that would be fine. So I'm saying my brain, as I'm getting made fun of, don't give a shit, because I'm understanding they want to share something with me. They're my friend. They think that it's fun and cool. I don't think it's fun or cool or interesting or any of that, and I'm a grown up now, and I'm like, you're grown up too. And I'm just thinking, what the fuck, this is ridiculous. But at the same time, as soon as they spoke, and oh, FYI, I ain't going. I will not be going to visit that person. That is all. That's my teenage adolescent remembering exactly how teenagers work, and that they don't respect your boundaries. And grown-ups who don't have healthy self-worth don't know how to. They actively don't. If they don't go to therapy to figure it out and become emotion mature. Terry Real talks about it as boring. It's not boring to be an empowered feminine, but this is the part of why we have a 5D collective, because some people won't be here. They feel in a very different state, and it's as long as they're not even yet in their wholeness. So I'm whole, which is why I hang out whole and with others. And when you find your wholeness, why would you have a boring time with yourself and others? You're going to have a good time. So it's only when you will have struggled with becoming whole. And I'm thinking of Terry Real again, and people who have self loathing or have had insecurity. I don't have any of it because I have a twin that I didn't get compared to as better or worse. Again, determined, come on in. I am different than another person, so I've never felt half or different or like something's wrong with me to compare. Okay, that's why, yeah, I am imperfect and flawed because I can relate to beyond the soul of self. And that is the part of where, when you see these at this point in time, the 4D mystics, and they tell you that the feminine is empowered now. I'm going to get to that in a minute because that one really got me. No, it's not empowered to act unapologetically rude. It's not empowered to be by yourself. It's not empowered to devote one of your focus on one human being, meaning you can totally go for that. That's your 0 1 year old looking for your secure attachment. You ain't empowered. You're going to find the masculine or feminine of you. Great. Have a good time being dependent on each other to feel whole. Meantime, I'm here saying you are whole without another, and you know this from here when you have an internally 0 1 year old secure attached. Jesus taught it to me. He didn't know it because there wasn't the neuroscience and psychologists and all the ones that I get to learn from, but he did know forgive, for they do not know. He did know how to tell you don't cast a stone. No characterological distinctions, no judgments. He did have to share, blessed are those who believe without seeing, and a lot more. But anytime I hear spirituality, it always gets mixed up with people that are assholes because they don't know restorative embodiment. The ones who do are the scientists I learned from, neuroscientists, somatics, mental health professionals, and those same assholes go and spread rumors about yoga bringing demons out of you because they're just reading a book like a little kid who's like, this is my ruler and my ruler's right. No, your ruler's not right because your ruler is living from the ancient times and doesn't understand how to use his brain or her brain or their brain. And they're also void and empty inside, and their shit is not our shit. And you know why I know this? Because I ain't fooled by you, any of you who speak to me. Again, manipulation. You can't manipulate a 3-year-old who doesn't live in a 3-year-old's body anymore, but that is still a 3-year-old. And I would tell my mom, stop trying to manipulate me. I'm not. Yes, you are. I know what you're doing. I heard you talking with your friends about how you want to do the reverse psychology. You think I don't know what you're doing? No, I'm not trying. Yes, you are. And then there's the truth of how a 3-year-old will want to always stand up to that primary caregiver because I'm asserting myself, which is also why you have a good time. And that's also why you don't break. And that's also why I get to share with you all my primary caregiver to this day. She can harass me about anything she wants because she wants the best for me. And anything else doesn't matter because I don't have anything to say except for all you need is love. Dun, 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 dun. All you need is love, love. So, empowered feminines, we don't date anyone who is an idiot. And that's idiot, sorry. Yes, no, some people are idiots. The ones who are not, they're healing and they're not going to bring to us their shit because that's the whole point. You don't bring to me your maladaptive patterns. You bring to me, here's my plan. Here's how you're going to help me. You bring to me, I got X, Y, Z, D, F, G, and here's how you're going to help me. So when I see those couples who are doing, here's what an avoid and here's what okay, you keep doing that. Meantime, we're here to say, okay, you want wholeness? Great. There's a plan. And anyone who knows Dr. Daniel Siegel, I do. Integration of the brain is a process. When you meet grown-ups who are not empowered and they have all the titles they can have, they ask questions. And here's how a 3-year-old who's a whole brain, who can think clearly as a grown-up, who loves information, as I'm being interrupted by idiots in classroom with questions that they get answered. So I know sometimes I don't understand things, so I ask repeatedly. But at a certain point, I can also know how to back off because if I'm not understanding it, then I'm not understanding it. I don't have to get it. But when they've explained it to you and it's like math, and then you come into another session and you manipulate your words so that you can get the answer you wanted, and obviously the smart human being on the other end is a very, very great empowered masculine. I love you, Dr. Daniel Siegel. You get to see in action a person who is able to answer satisfactorily an answer of an idiot who wants to basically be able to sell a shortcut to integration that doesn't exist. So when you meet disempowered human being, men and women, and they're all going to be dysregulated because their 0 1 year old and their 3 to 7 year old is not theirs, and they don't give a shit about what they're providing you. No, they want to make millions. They want a shortcut because they think people don't want to do the work, which, fair and square. But I'm not going to manipulate it so that you do the work because, it can't happen. You can't force your brain to integrate faster because there's a process. Now, I do believe in miracles. Yes, I do. But I also believe in sciences, which is why I don't be like, no, your equation doesn't satisfy me. I want to force somebody to integrate faster. You're going to have them not integrate faster. You're going to have them re-traumatized. You're going to have a fake shit going on, which is why you have all those facades out there pretending that they know how to get you to be a smart human being. That way that get smart, get integrated with a good therapist, and it takes time for integration. 6 to 7 years. Took the DID lady in my course, Dissociative Identity Disorder and Disorganized Attachment, to have all her alters want to meet without Dr. Daniel Siegel saying anything. So when you find people who care about money and whatever, you're going to find them in classrooms where you're learning about how people suffer because they didn't begin life in a certain way. And then you're going to learn and see how idiots continue to try. I swear, I'm spending money. And I see this and I'm like, why did I grow up and they didn't? And then I'm reminded of why. What is it, Patrick Tiahan? Assimilating into a group of people for acceptance. Yeah, no, not really, not at all. I don't follow idiots and I don't become a part of a group. I'm having my own group, and if you're in, great. And once you show your true colors, well, I'll know who you are. You ain't Ixnade. An empowered feminine isn't going to be mean just because you weren't able to get securely attached. I'm not going to kick you out of the herd. I'm going to reiterate my healthy boundaries. You're going to learn them. Or you can be the one who says, ciao, ciao. And I'll be like, thank you so much for your time. And I'll shut that door. And there you go. That's in all situations. In fact, you better bet we don't lose people. We don't lose. You can't lose a friend, and you definitely don't lose a lover. It's not a lover if they are lost. And it is not because death do you part, sickness and in health. It's a bullshit statement because people who are not securely attached don't know how to keep it. And that's why when somebody wants to tell me about Christian, Catholic, about any of those institutions of yesterday and thinking that a person who follows a book is a person that knows how, no, they don't. No. You're going to find a person who is a person when they have wholeness and heaven in their body, which means they got a somatic therapist to work with them, or they didn't need one. And so when you see people doing what they're doing on screen, again, we're going to talk about it. That I don't do shortcuts. I do. Let me tell you how it is. And I don't care about being liked. It's not about being liked. I'm not here to be. Let me get people to tell me what I'm doing. I come here with knowledge of what I'm doing. Be yourself. And now I know why people aren't their self. And it's really not a superhero gift, which is what disempowered feminines, all of them, as I watch them on screen, telling you there's a dark side to you, and you know what? So I'm going to get to it in a minute. This is going to be a longer one. You can allow yourselves to sit comfortably, get a drink of water. Wanting rescue or inclusion from others in marked way. Yes, there we go. The wanting rescue. Anybody watch feminines who are completely not empowered do this shit? Wedding bells. Again. And I tell my women, I know you learned how to make it on your own. Rescue me, please rescue me, and then choke me to, no, get the fuck away from me right now, immediately, and go hang out with the ones who want all this. I've met women, you need to fuck them first. Excuse me? No. Yes, Maria. No, I have had a woman tell me this. And I was like, well, you don't know. Ew. STDs and a lot more, and I don't even know if I like their brain. Do they think? Do they know knowledge? Or is this a human? Like, what do we got? As I got older, I just realized how many women and men don't use their brain, and so I'm not interested if you don't know what you're doing. Dating beneath us. Yeah, a lot of people that I've met do that too, and our values. Nope. For being unable to manage being alone. Yeah, those are the not healthy self-worth human beings who go to classrooms with me, and they want shortcuts. Not even kidding. I have so many people that I'm like, okay, you need therapy, you need therapy, you need. I was told I can't do any of this, so I'm just thinking it. But I'm like, wow, pseudo aliveness on screen. That's not impressive. And you think, what? El Dorado? What? Come on in. So pursuing a connection that we know up front isn't going to end well. No, yeah, see, we don't do that. Okay, so this is why I have a very healthy inner child who spotted as a teenager the same shit that I was like, yeah, you don't love me. So here's that. That's it. A sign that your inner child is in need of reparenting is if any of this, please, and again, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to share with you in this one, again, the empowered feminine reveal. Surprise! I'm a healthy self worth woman, man or they, who is emotionally mature since the age of a teenager and available. Yes, and I do love. Why would I not love? Makes no sense. The whole heart, wholeness is here. So when people think yoga brings demons, no. Ventral vagal toning exercises, mindfulness, 3 pillars of the mind, focus, attention, awareness, and in awareness is where uncertainty, all your child shit comes up, and then you got kind intention. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel. I would not be here without any of the smart people. I already knew how to be an empowered feminine, and when Sadhguru says you can be like me, and he's sharing with you how, great, he's spirituality guru. But I'm telling you, humanly speaking, you can do all the yoga you want. If you don't get your inner child to be yours, you're just a facade. You're going to be a facade to me. I'm going to know what soul age group you're in, like that Zen master who whines about his laundry. And I'm not going to do anything about it because I'm not a distorted feminine. So the empowered feminine respects free will and leaves masculines and feminines to choose their path. Come on in, Robert Sapolsky. God recently in my hypnotherapy session said, leave alone the 0-1-year-olds, as I was being shown an infant crying, and I was crying with this infant. We can bring in sciences. I'm okay with saying, look, Maria's healing her own 0-1. That's fine with me. I know it wasn't, but I'm not going to be like, oh my God, you need to believe in my mystical stuff. You don't need to believe in shit. Actually, I believe in both. And that's exactly why when I'm channeling and downloading, I have a humorous time. And, my guides at times are like, we know you don't really believe because, you have, so I'm going to leave that to the side because I have a great balance with both sides of the coin. Let's just say there's no free will. I'm going to be okay with that. But what I do know is there's smart therapists that can get any human being who decides to commit to their healing to get healed. So if you don't want to get healed, you don't have to. But I know where the hellhole is, as one of my other smart therapists taught me. As they try to negotiate with people who go to them, who don't want to go back because it's that painful, trauma memory, trauma charges, the whole shit show. Okay, you have hell in your body is what they say then. And then they say it's self-loathing, gut wrench is really painful. It's why I also said God is benevolent. See, when I say that, some people think, what? Benevolent what? Trauma charges are really painful. Peter Levine explains, it's stored in your muscles, bones, and tissues. It's in your fascia, whatever it is, that word. I can't pronounce it. But somatic therapists, on the other hand, the ones that I've learned from, they're like, every body is healing itself. When I see Peter Pans and Lost Boys, I don't want to be near them because they're all over YouTube, but I understand what their role is, and then I remember and remind myself that integration of the brain is a process, as Dr. Daniel Siegel taught me, to want to own yourself. All of it is a process. If somebody doesn't want it, they don't want it. They're going to keep doing, like Dr. Daniel Fox says, they're going to fall back on their patterns and keep doing shit. And then, like Patrick Tiahan points out, they're going to keep dating people that are assholes, and it's none of my business. Empowered feminines, why we don't have a shit show with any of our oversoul. And the dysregulated, distorted feminines, they are envious, jealous, spiteful, vindictive, and they actively do not understand this process. And that is why 4D mystics won't go anywhere, and they keep using the dark side so they can get into their little squirrel vindictive attitude on a screen and think that they have something to say that is more important than anybody else, and that they can, and that the only way you can get connected to your true self is through them. No. Empowered feminine knows that free will, but again, I want to pause. I come first of all and primarily from God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. Clairs came after. And the only thing I knew once I had clairs is people from my Christian Catholic upbringing will not all be accepting me anymore as a person of faith, as a person that does represent the Holy Spirit. That made me sad, not mad. And it didn't make me say I'm going to prove that, yoga's good. No, I don't need to prove anything. Or that clairs are not bad or whatever. You don't prove anything to egos that are ignorant. So, yeah, that's a waste of your time. And also, it's unnecessary because, again, God's got everything covered. So he's benevolent when I look at trauma and how painful it is, because some people, they won't want to do it like that, avoid it. And they'll give up. And they will have people around them that they will do the same unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms that they have. And there you go, which is why, again, a healthy caregiver will allow themselves to continue to reiterate, because all of us are children who need repetition in one way, shape, or form, because we're all creatures of habit. Once you know yourself as well as you do and you want to stay healthy, you will stay healthy. If you allow yourself a little wiggle room, it depends what little wiggle room are we allowing. Are we allowing a reasonable little wiggle room, like when I'm smoking cigars and drinking wine? Or are we allowing ourselves not a wiggle room, but just falling back on what we're going to be doing? Now, that's again why healthy, self-worth anyone's as a herd keep each other in check. They don't allow themselves to go too far. They remind each other of how short life is, of how you keep physical health, and the mental and emotional is pretty straightforward if you are all together. Because the reality is, unhealthy self-worth people who are Diego's family will not be around each other because they can't. They actively support bad habits in ways that are completely unreasonable. As you get older, you will get emotionally mature and available if you're open to life. If you're not, you're not. But again, forever growing. Good luck. Self-worth and love to spread joy, Christmas cheer, and brighter future for tomorrow and generations to come. Secure attachment, restorative embodiment, integrated brain in the restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating person, of course. So you might not all be that yet, but you will want to be this if you are welcoming the gift of the lovely 5D state of consciousness, Christ consciousness, the 5D frequency. It's integration, again, of the brain in the time it takes. The whole self is yours to tend to, not mine. And with every home comes a different set of inner growth opportunities for you to connect to your spirituality and or mindful whole self and gain or keep internal secure attachment with an own sense of self. Again, that's where every home is different. The ones who have awakened from that spiritual narcolepsy, from homes that didn't provide safety at heart, their journey is twofold. And I did miss a comma yesterday. I was writing this, but I'm going to leave it imperfect as it is. At the end of the day, their journey is just as straightforward as any other journey. It's harder, yes, but it's straightforward. It will be, you can pursue inner growth instead of the inner critic, outer critic, the fucking drinking, drugging, and then the suppression. It can be you get securely attached versus get on screen and say, people are fucked up, so I'm not going to go to therapy. I'm not going to do mindfulness, meditation, journaling. I'm going to keep on doing the shit that I want to keep doing, which is living basically that. So the end of this one for now, and maybe I'll do another one because I had more to share with you on the empowered feminine and love. What I would like to do, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a channeled guidance with a bit of comparison. Because the 4D feminines are, at this point right now, they're all over YouTube because every theme has a theme, and they're with that dark side. And so they're making it look like badass means the visceral. And that's what they keep doing because, again, unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms are people with their threat response. Like the fancy lady in a suit who says, come to me, and yeah, you can go to her, but you're all going to be half people because you're not getting your 0-1-year-old whole. You're not getting out of a gut that is leading with a little teenager that feels not securely attached and that does follow the crowd. And whenever I see a man, woman, or they who follows the crowd, I'll spot it. I'm used to ignoring it completely because it's unimpressive. It was unimpressive as a teenager. I didn't follow, but I did do the peer pressure like anybody else. But that's the part of when I'm like, yeah, the grown-ups told us we would do this. So, I mean, it's not a good or bad thing. And then I said, I'm going to choose to do me. And then I saw other people not choosing that. As I got older, once I began the dating scene, I was not into, like, let me just date anyone. No. And that's why my twin flames, I'm happy about all of what happened because, in fact, as I was watching the shit show of roosters and hens, I'm like, yeah, you're all very unimpressive. And I'm not sure where the grown ups are, but whatever, I'm having a good time. And then I kept getting older and I kept noticing the lack of emotional availability from men, women, and days. I don't know days, but still, people who fucking get out and are miserable, you have something going on. Now I know the answer. So, again, empowered feminine reveal, it's an empowered human being who knows their self, all their child parts, doesn't need a therapist. And even if there was at any point, shape, or form a potential for that need, you learned how to do the inner growth mindset and then to not call sadness laundry or anger. So you have the emotional body connected to be in that 5D state of consciousness and frequency. You want to feel deeply, you want to think deeply. Anybody who's like, no, it's suffering, they can follow the Zen master and pretend to be empowered. And that's exactly where 3D40 is going to go because they have not the desire to make it over the hump like the choo-choo train. I have seen it more ways than I can count, which is what we'll talk about next. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe. Please, again, be compassionate. That doesn't mean that you are friends with everyone. It means inside here you do know the energy of humility, the energy of integrity, and the energy of two sides of brain that, as I keep telling you, intelligence comes from mentally, emotionally, and physically intelligent people. That's only if you have a whole self. Otherwise, you're not. You're going to have biases that you don't even know how to spot. You're going to be a flag. You're going to be a Cusco. You're going to be somebody who, excuse me, you're confusing shit. I'm not confusing shit, but hey, you know what? I could be confusing shit. I'm in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. I don't need to be right. I'm a functional adult who's also an inner child, which is why it's not lonely. All by myself. No, I'm whole in here. Also, I got a bunch of galactic friends, God, Akash, universe, you name it, past lives, future lives. I mean, my entire world. But I love to love, and my baby, he loves to dance and he loves to live. I don't live alone. I would never live alone. Why would I live alone? How not amazing it would be. I can't share my weirdness, quote unquote, my woo-ness with anyone. No. So, okay, we'll be back in a little bit. Have a good one if you don't tune in, and thank you for stopping by, and have a Merry Christmas.